because I've seen incredible ideas, incredible products fail more often than not, and it's usually because of the team. And I've also seen average ideas pivot into amazing ideas because of the team. And I think that's the most important aspect. So for me, what I've learned over time, if I can just frame it simply, is that I've fallen in love with ideas instead of people.
Welcome to Unstoppable Podcast with Harry Sardinas, inspiring conversations with influential millionaires, investors, thought leaders, entrepreneurs who are making a massive difference with their innovative products and services, and sharing the challenges and the wisdom of how they sold their first million.
If, when it comes to tech companies, marketing and sales, do you think it's 50% tech, 50% marketing and sales, 40% tech, 60% marketing and sales, or 30% tech and 70% marketing and sales?
No, it's 80-20. It's 80%
Wow,
marketing and sales.
really?
Sure. I mean, the
Wow,
whole.
I learned something today.
If you.
80-20. Okay, go ahead.
Well, I'll give you an example. So the most successful serial entrepreneurs I've seen in the Valley aren't wedded to any product or technology. They're wedded to markets and problems that could be solved. And I'll give you a good example. Inside of a lot of venture funds, they will take exited entrepreneurs that have helped them make money in the past, and they will pay them a stipend to sit in an office and figure out what the next big thing is. And how do they do that? They go out and they talk to people. They talk to decision makers and big organizations with big budgets and try and understand where their largest challenges are. And every time you solve one problem with technology, it creates a whole another set of problems that have to get solved. And that's never going to change. So they're very much focused on identifying white space opportunities where they can create differentiation and a moat around them by leveraging the networks that they've developed over their life, plus the venture capitalists that are supporting them to identify that. And sometimes it takes some years to figure that out. And then and only then do they start to try and create a solution. And the last thing they do is build. The first thing they do is clearly define the problem and the customer and the use case and the value that can be created by solving that problem. And then from there, then they start to build in support of that with the strategic idea that if they do this, others will want that as well, because if this person's having that problem, his peers around the world are having the same problem. And that's the approach that I found to be most successful. You can invest a lot of time and intelligence in getting yourself to what we call problem solution fit, where you can find a solution to a big problem. And then from there, you start to build. And you only build what's needed to solve that problem at that moment. And then, of course, over time, that will grow. But in my view, 80% of your time, money, and resources should be spent on that, because that makes the build part so much faster and easier, because you get to do it right the first time.
Okay, so it's all about finding what is this big problem that we need to solve and develop a technology around that, right?
Correct. And most product founders and tech people, like you said, and bless them all, they're all wonderful. People tend to revert to what they know and what they're comfortable with. And tech folks are comfortable with their computers and their code and their screens and their laboratories, and they're not talking to humans. They're coming up with ideas and they're falling in love with solutions instead of problems. And as a result, they end up investing a lot of time and money and find out that there's no market need for what they're doing, or the timing in the market is wrong, or they're not functionally executing well with the teams that they've selected to build around them. People and markets, that's the reason why these things fail. It's not the product and tech.
Wow. And then, Sean, so tell us about your biggest challenge that you faced when you had your first venture, right? Your first company.
Yeah.
I understand, I wrote your bio that you already achieved 3 exits.
Yeah.
Tell us about the first one, right? Which is, I believe, the most challenging.
Well, I think so. I think there's a common theme in my experience, and that is, when you think about building a business, you think about the team, the market, the model, the traction, and the differentiation. And through that rubric or that set of criteria, the thing that's most important is the team. Getting the right people on the bus that that you can trust and that you can communicate well with, and that will put the interests of the customer and the problem ahead of their own personal needs, with whom you share similar values and work ethic, and grit and determination, and the current this what I call the entrepreneurial DNA is what's most critical. Because I've seen incredible ideas, incredible products fail more often than not, and it's usually because of the team. And I've also seen average ideas pivot into amazing ideas because of the team. And I think that's the most important aspect. So for me, what I've learned over time, if I can just frame it simply, is that I've fallen in love with ideas instead of people. And that's where I've had the most challenges. And so over time, I've learned that if you find the right people and back the right people, you're going to find success, regardless of what it is you're working on.
Yeah, and then so Sean, in your first venture, were you lucky that you find the right people,
Um,
or you
yeah,
just
to
deal
a
with
degree.
it,
No,
and then the next one you find a
no,
better
no.
team
I
with a
mean,
better team, or you just got lucky, or what happened?
no. We found the right people with the right technology at the right time. Um,
Hmm.
would I say that that team was um, equipped to scale the business? No, but oftentimes very successful entrepreneurs recognize the stage that they're really good at. Like I'm great at the 0 to 1 stuff, right? I've learned that over time. And
This is
so
very difficult. This part, eh? Very difficult.
it's number one, it's the most difficult. Number two, most people aren't even aware it's a thing, but I call it stage relevant teams or stage relevant talent. There are people who are wired to be very good at 0 to 1. There are other people that are wired to be very good at 1 to 2, and then there are others that are wired to be very good at 2 to N. And when you recognize that and you put yourself in that kind of position, you can have a lot of fun and a lot of success. You're still going to fail. Entrepreneurship is just moving from one failure to the next with no loss of enthusiasm. Um, but we got it to a place to where we could sell it to a public company and let them scale it, right? And
Hmm.
that's and I didn't know any of this at the time, but after 30 years of doing this, I've sort of built a mental model around the life cycle of a business um, and what I'm good at, and surround myself with people who are good at the other things. But at the end of the day, um, what I've become really good at is identifying the problem in the customer and figuring out a way to create a solution that creates value for everyone. And that should be the focus.
Sean, but the 0 to 1 is the most challenging part, but also the most fun, right? Because you have to think how to penetrate the market, and the product is there, and you have to. So it's like a gym for your mind, right? It's really you have to think outside the box and
It is the most fun for people who, uh,
understand it.
well, for people who are built for it, because, and you'll know if they're built
I
for it
understand
because they
100%.
love to embrace it. They love to embrace ambiguity. They love to create. They love to help others. They'll be singularly focused on that. They don't mind getting kicked in the teeth on a regular basis because that's what it is. It's challenging. Um, but you'll know if someone's suited for it based on how they react, not how they act, because
Mm.
they're going to just constantly be trying to push a boulder uphill. And like I said, most of them fail.
Yeah, some most of them cannot handle it, right? It's like a marathon, especially in tech, right?
Hmm.
Very competitive, but very profitable when when things work out. So, and but at the end of the day, I will 100% agree with you. Some people are wired for 0 to 1, another one for 1 to 2, and we have to do what we enjoy, what we love, right? So,
That's right.
what is the biggest challenge, or the biggest setback in your professional career that you had in tech company? And how
Well,
you
Bernie,
overcome that?
yeah, I mean, I mean, without naming names
Of course,
or
yeah.
getting into too much detail, but um, it's two things. It's partnering with the wrong people,
Mm-hmm.
uh, and then it's raising too much money too early
Mm-hmm.
um, can also be a problem, and
100%.
not delivering a return on that investment to the people who entrusted it with me, haunts me every day, right?
Mm.
And it will forever. Um, and I know it happens to almost everyone, but
Yeah.
it needs to happen to
I don't
people.
know anyone in this industry that doesn't have happen something similar like this. Yeah, it's very common.
Yeah, yeah. Entering a market where the regulatory environment made it very difficult to grow the business
Ah, wow, yeah.
which was not considered at the time, was also a massive challenge that I had in one situation. Not recognizing that
The
that
regulatory was way too much. Yeah.
that yes, that relationships matter more than transactions.
Mm,
Those kinds of things, not setting the right expectations and not having the right people
mhm.
um, at the right stage. Um, Also, being too early is very painful. I've been too early.
Oh yeah,
Um,
expensive. Being too early. Huh?
oh, it
Painful
sucks because then you see 5 years later the thing that you came up with is now being adopted, and by then
and
it's over.
somebody's doing it better and faster and.
Or just somebody's not necessarily doing it better or faster; they're just doing it at the right time.
Hmm.
Um, and market timing is everything.
Oh, yeah.
Recognizing, the trends and being able to get on the wave early and ride that wave. That's a skill.
Follow us for more interviews with world's most influential, audacious entrepreneurs that overcame challenges and adversity, providing you with the blueprint of how they sold their first million so you can grow your business exponentially.